today's topic and today's guest, it's just so incredibly perfect for the time that we're in. We're going to be talking about really about reinventing ourselves and reinventing our businesses for success. And our guest tonight is Miki Wright. Miki loves to help hairstylists increase their income, boost their salon profits. She was actually the owner of Fabulous Finishes that won 200 fastest growing salons in the country by Salon Today magazine. She's a business coach. She's a founder of beautysuperstars.com, which I'm sure she'll share a little bit more about with us. And she has the Beauty Superstars Talk podcast. And this is a chance for her to weekly showcase the best and brightest in Black beauty bosses, give entrepreneurs and beauty enthusiasts backstage pass to experts in beauty. So please, in the chat, welcome our good friend and salon business coach, Miki Wright.
Hello there. Hello, Andrew. Hello, everyone.
So happy to have you. Everyone say hi, Miki, in the chats, please.
I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much.
Well, we're super stoked too, because like I said, this is such a perfect thing to be talking about right now, because we're really in this upswing at this point of people getting back to work, salons getting up to like faster pace, restrictions coming off of salons. So this is a really important time for salon and business owners and hairstylists too, to really look at their business and say, okay, what do I need to do to, in this new climate, to really become what my guests want, right?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, it's super important. Obviously we've gone through quite a time with 2020, and it's impacted us in various ways, whether it's our stress levels, whether it's, trying to homeschool, being closed, various parts of the country for longer than others, but being closed is definitely been, challenging, and how do we stay afloat, and what do we do now, with everybody coming back, everybody's super excited, filling your chairs. And then from a lot of people, there's a drop off, or there's a whole nother challenge where you can't do as many clients and you have more demand than you can take on. So we see it from both ends.
For sure. Yeah, and you guys that are watching, type into the chat, what are you experiencing as we're kind of transitioning and as we're moving forward? Because like Miki said, I'm sure some of you are still in that phase of like, I can't fit enough people in. Some of you might still be experiencing that sort of like ebb and flow to the business cycle. So Miki, especially when you're working with your clients, what things are you finding that are super important for them to start to focus on as we make these transitions?
Well, a few things really. The one of the things is that not everyone may be coming back, to your salon. Some people are still a little hesitant to get out and about. Sure. Some people may be stretching out their appointment. So that person that may come every 6 weeks, now they're coming every 12 weeks, which means we need to fill in more spaces. And, we can no longer double book, unless you have a really big space because of, all of the COVID restrictions. There's sanitizing that we've always been doing, hopefully. And now I think it's gone to like sterilizing the entire salon in between guests. And so that's, a whole nother thing. And then we're wearing masks and shields and all of that. And I think it's really important to take breaks in between, breathing breaks, to get some fresh air in. And so, how do you manage doing fewer clients when you still have the same bills, and you need to make that, what you were making before or more, and trying to balance all of those things. And, like I said, some people, that is definitely their challenge. There aren't quite enough of their slots filled in to really make it, or they may be, on the flip side of that, where there's too many people. And so changes need to be made in both categories.
Right. And is some of this kind of them kind of holding on to the way things were before?
Absolutely. One of the things I saw posted, especially during lockdown, the first one, because I think that was kind of across the board, is, gosh, I can't wait for things to get back to normal. And normal's not coming back, guys, not as we used to know it. And I think sometimes when we look back, it's always a little bit more romantic than it really was in reality. And
The
so,
good old days, right? Of working
exactly.
16-hour work days and not having lunch breaks.
Right, right. And one of the things, like from a clientele, and client experience standpoint, I think we had a lot of holes in our bucket that we didn't necessarily notice because we were busy. And so, how do we make sure that we have a really a foundation, a salon that's really built on the fundamentals and something that's sustainable? Because the 16-hour days, how long can you go with that? Not eating, not going to the restroom, trying to, can you squeeze me in? And you're trying to, squeeze that next person in. And so I did a post a little while back that just said, that was so 2019. And so some of the things that we were doing, it's like what I call being an order taker, where the person sits down and says, okay, I want a haircut. And you're like, oh, okay, let's go to the bowl. There's no real consultation. There's no recommendations of any products. And, what I tell my clients is, you can't even work at McDonald's with that kind of an attitude, because even at McDonald's, if you go in and ask for, a burger and fries, they're going to ask you, would you like a drink with that? There's always suggestive selling going on. And so, we were in a lot of times that order taker role is what I call it, just taking the order and going on back. And so the client experience, is not exceptional. The retention, that affects, whether they're coming back or not. And obviously, I've been in this industry for quite a while, let's say over 3 decades, which I know a lot of people watching weren't even born when I started doing hair. But one of the things,
Miki that started when she was 4, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah, I forgot to mention. But, it's like we see that people are less loyal now. It's like there's, the next thing that scrolls on your phone is, it's like, oh, that hairstyle looks nice. Let me go to that stylist. But I've, was still styling up until 2019. And what I found was a lot of times people were looking for a reason to be loyal.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah.
So it's interesting. I'm just kind of watching the comments as you're chatting too. And there's definitely a big variation in what people are experiencing, because like Erica said, for them in St. Louis, saying like best ever days, weeks, months. So like kind of normal is kind of back for some people. And Katie Bell is saying like definitely kind of the same. So definitely it seems like there's a huge ebb and flow for across the board for everyone. Also, just want to shout out to Crystal Boyington, just got her first salon job. Super excited, very nervous about it. And what a perfect time to be watching this, Crystal, because I think Miki's going to offer some great tips for us that will help you out. And, Miki, you mentioned those foundational pieces that are so important. What do you feel like are those foundational pieces that, for those of us that are maybe more experienced, we need to check in with and make sure we're going back to basics? But then for people like Crystal that are just kind of getting in, what are those really important foundational pieces that have to get built into place?
Yeah, well, I definitely think this is a time where the basics are really what we need to focus on. And I had a mentor that called it getting brilliant at the basics. And so I think that's exactly what we need to do, is kind of get brilliant at those basics. And so
I love that.
I put together like 5 R's of what are the basics. And so the first one is relationships. And I think a lot of times we're having a lot of difficulty with relationships for a variety of different reasons. We deal with so many personalities each and every single day. And even if we've been doing this a little while and we love our clients, a lot of them are coming in stressed, and they're taking, it's like wherever they are in their lives, they usually come and bring it, when they sit down, it's like, this is what's going on. And that can be stressful for us. The consultation piece, like I was talking about before, is like kind of setting expectations as far as how you run your business. And like I said, reinventing is key. So it may be explaining to your clients, putting some postings on your website that, these are some of the new policies that are in place. But setting expectations, I see a lot of posts on the Facebook groups, with color challenges, where they're trying to do too much. They're not charging enough for it. And it's breeding resentment, and customers not happy. And then we're having these conversations like, kind of like, back me up. Like, didn't I do a good job? And we're getting the applause from our friends and folks in the industry. But the only person that matters is the person who's sitting in your chair. And so
yes,
we've got to be able to have those hard conversations sometimes to be able to make professional recommendations, because I know, especially with starting out new, that can be really, really intimidating. But I think most of us as creative people or beings, that we're usually seeing something in our mind. It's like, oh, this would look really good on her or him, what have you. And we don't share it with them, which is kind of a lost opportunity to build that relationship, as well as build our ticket and build future business. Because, just because I see something that would be great doesn't mean I can do it all today. So we may need to schedule out.
What do you think, what causes people to hesitate? Because this is one thing I've definitely noticed. It has nothing to do with people not knowing that's what they're supposed to do. Like you said, in their head, they're like, oh man, this deep conditioner would be great, or this particular service would be perfect for this person. Right. So what stops us from just saying, hey, I think this would be great for you?
Right. Well, definitely, I think there's a lot of times in our industry, the desire to please. And so that's one of the pieces. Confidence is kind of a lack of confidence or confidence building that needs to happen. And fear of rejection. It's like, well, what if they say no? And, it's like, if you're confident, then it's like, oh, well, they just said no, and you keep it moving. But it's like, if we're in more people pleasing mode, then we're like likely to kind of take it personal and have it affect the rest of the client's visit, the rest of our day, the rest of our week. But it's really just putting the offer out there, just almost as simply as they do at McDonald's, with, would you like a drink with that, with your burger and fries? And it's like, if they say no, then they just got a burger and fries with no drink,
Sure. Yeah.
So, yeah.
It's interesting how hard that word is to hear sometimes, that no, because I think we take it so personally, right? Like we take it as almost, oh no, now they don't like me, now they hate me.
Right.
And I almost think that sometimes people that have had jobs like working at a McDonald's counter or something, where they were trained that, no, you try that upsell on every single person.
Right.
They're probably so used to hearing that word that it just doesn't even, it's like, meh, whatever.
Yeah. I mean, and we do a very personal service, and it does becomes about the relationship. And so I think it's important to build a relationship so that you're finding out who they are, what they like, what they don't like, and what's going on with their hair, and really having some honest conversations with them, about, what they're using, what they haven't been using. It's like a lot of people we haven't seen in a year, and so there's a lot that could be going on with that hair. And so really listening is really one of the bigger important skills with building relationships, rather than even talking. But I think our phones are another thing, especially younger stylists who that's been their whole life. I text my friends, I post on social media, but I'm not face to face with people having one-on-one conversations about meaningful things, or about things that might be more difficult to say, hey, you want this is your inspo picture, and I'm looking at your hair, and your hair is not ready for this. And that can be a hard delivery, because it's like the other person on the other side may be disappointed, and we want to please them, we want to make them happy. And so we don't say it, but then we go forth with a procedure that is going to end in not such a good place. They're still not going to leave looking like the inspo picture.
I love that you're saying that this is such an important part of the foundations, is that relationship, because we have a couple questions that are going to be at some point really important to answer here, because it's like, how can I raise my prices without hurting feelings? What's a great way to bring that up so it doesn't hurt feelings? And I think if you have that basis of a great relationship, like a trusting relationship, and surely you mentioned trust, if you have that trusting relationship, that stuff doesn't become so difficult. I think it's when we don't have the relationship. So I love that you're making that a big point of one of 5 R's.
Absolutely. I think a lot of things become a lot easier when you build a relationship. And, I've had experience and it's funny and I love it, where you've gone through a consultation and maybe you're going to the bowl and they're like, oh, I want to come back and, in 3 weeks and get such and such. And it's like, okay, they've already rebooked themselves and we haven't even been to the bowl and they haven't even seen their hair, at the end.
Right.
So it's really, taking that time, finding out who they are, what they want, why they want it, what experiences they've had, what experiences they haven't had. And I think that is like a really good investment of time in terms of building a really good business.
For sure.
Yeah.
So relationships 1, what else do we have on the 5 R's?
Retention. One of the things that we didn't pay a lot of attention to was retention previously. It was, I call it run and gun, where it's just like, next. You got one coming in the door, one's at the bowl, one's in your chair, and, you're just going to keep that going all day. And the level of attention to the clients, the level of customer service, customer experience can be good at that rate, but it's a lot of times not good at that rate. And so looking at, are these same people coming back? It's like, it's harder. It's one of the harder things to kind of measure, but it's like, one of the things like, this is April, anybody that you haven't seen since December, are you giving them a wake up call, to say, hey, how are things going? It's like, I know it's, a lot going on or what have you. It's like, just want you to know that we've got this special promotion going on, getting ready towards Mother's Day. Would love to get you on for an appointment. What day works for you? Cool. And getting those people back in so that you're retaining them, so that you're not always, I call it like a leaky bucket. It's like one of the statistics, and this is, I don't do a lot of statistics, but this one like kind of stopped me cold, was 7 out of 10 new clients that come into a salon never come back.
Wow.
And I'm like, whoa, that's like your business is on life support. If you have every 10 people come in and 7 people leak back out, is you're not retaining anyone. And you're always in this cycle of, I need more clients. I need more clients. And so that is really a key piece.
Right. What do you think is the biggest, what do you think is like the kind of number 1 piece that has to be in place to have that retention?
The relationship.
There we go.
which includes, I would say, includes the consultation, because it's like when you are setting up, what do I call it? A hair plan for your guest, for your client. And there's one time when I was a manager and one of my stylists got really, kind of overwhelmed, a little busy. She's like, can you do a blow dry for me? And I was like, sure. So I'm, talking with the guest and noticing, it's like, oh, I love your hair color. It looks really great. And this was maybe July or so. And she's like, yeah, I just got it last time. And in the fall, we're going to go with a copper color. And I'm like, yes. It's like, because we had been talking about putting these hair plans in place for our guest. And, this is July. She's already planning her hair color visit in September. And who do you think she's going to the whole time that she's going to be getting ready to get that new color?
Absolutely. I love that. I love that concept of a hair plan.
Yeah. 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 That's your retention plan. It's like that they are excited and that they can't wait to come back because there's something in place for them.
Yes. Yeah. Cassandra mentioned nowadays the stylists don't ask clients to rebook enough. And I would tend to agree with that, even from my own experiences. It's been an interesting thing for me because in Salt Lake, where I
Mhm.
worked for most of my life, of course, I worked in a salon. So I had someone there to do my hair. So I didn't really have to go out and look for hairdressers.
Okay.
When we moved here to Southern Oregon, I had a big wake up call because my experience within salons was salons that I also helped to educate a lot of the staff at. And so there was that connection. And
Right.
I was really surprised. Like Cassandra said, I had very few people that would follow through with just saying, hey, I would love to see you back here in 6 weeks.
Right.
It was always more of just a, hey, do you want to set up another appointment?
Yep.
Like, oh, that was convincing.
Well, I love the word nowadays because in my mind that was definitely that was so 2019 because and before, it's like I worked, with stylists and helping them build for a really long time, and rebooking is actually the third R.
I kind of
And
figured that's where we headed.
and it is a process, and it starts, way back at that consultation part where we're setting up the expectations. We're asking, how often do you like to come in? And it's like we're, reiterating that and just really planting those seeds kind of all the way along, because like you say, by the time you get to the end of the appointment and say, oh, would you like to come back? You've already, like, you're out in the parking lot somewhere on the way to your next appointment. You're not
Sure.
thinking about it. But while they're sitting in the chair, it's like, that's the time to, get everything set up before they even go up to the desk, really.
And I want to draw attention to something you just said too, because it probably sort of slipped by, but I loved what you asked. How often do you like to come in?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a brilliant question for a couple reasons. Number one, it allows us to be either catering to their needs or
Mm-hmm.
also begin to maybe suggest some new things for them. But it's also it's such a different question from, do you want to put another appointment on the books?
Right.
Because what you're asking is, okay, how often do you like to come in? So when they respond like, oh, I tend to come in like every 2 or 3 months, that gives you the opportunity to do a couple things, right? It gives you the opportunity to say, well, your color is probably going to only last about 8 weeks. So I'd suggest that. Or it also allows you to say, okay, 3 months from now is this date. What
Mm-hmm.
day of the week, what time is best for you to get back on the books here? So it gives you such a better opening to continue that conversation and to continue to rebook versus like, do you want to rebook is such a throwaway question in my eyes.
Okay. Yeah, that's usually a no, It's like, can I help you? When you walk into a store, it's like, no, I'm good. I'm looking.
Yeah. Oh my
Almost,
gosh, that's a perfect example. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, even if you're looking for something, that's like your first response when someone asks you that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So we have relationship,
Hmm.
retention,
Hmm.
rebook.
Hmm. Referrals.
Mm-hmm.
They're one of my favorites because I love, when I was behind the chair, standing behind the chair, and other people are out there, kind of my marketing team, sending people in. And usually, I don't know about for you guys, but usually when I would get a referral, they're already like a Mickey fan. Oh, my girlfriend said such and such, and you do so and so. And so it's
Yes.
not that awkward, kind of first date, kind of, first interaction with a new client.
I love how you put that. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, I definitely like referrals. And I think that most people want to help you, that most people want to, have people admire their hair and that type of thing once they get it done, or makeup, or whatever your specialty is. But sometimes we make it like so difficult for people to refer us clients. One, we don't ask.
Mhm.
And two, it's like refer me 10 clients and I'll get you, a free hairstyle. It's like, who has 10 people that are gonna come in? You know what I
Right.
mean? So, put something together where you can reward them for one client.
Right. Yeah. I like that because actually someone was asking, I think it was Catron and Sears asked, do you give discounts for referrals? So what is kind of what do your clients like to do as far as like a referral program?
Well, there's a couple different ways to do it. You can actually do things like online, which I think is really kind of cool, where you're just saying, it's like, would you be comfortable posting your selfie or what have you, your picture or what have you, or maybe I take a picture and tagging 5 of your friends. It's like tag 5 of your friends, and it's like, I'll give you $5 off your next visit, or $10 or whatever it might be. But 5 of their friends have gotten exposed to you, as well as more of the friends' friends. It just becomes this kind of outward spiral where you are being seen by a lot more people who potentially want to sit in your chair.
Right.
So that's one way. I think I saw someone say 3, bring 3 and get 1 free or something like that.
Right.
That's one way to do it. I would always give my clients 3 to 5 business cards at each appointment, make sure they're, stocked up, because, and I have a funny story with business cards, and I know they're kind of old school right now, but with business cards, it's like, you can't actually have people take a picture of your phone. And there's also online cards where you can have an online digital business card that has like all of your links to all of your social and your website and all that kind of good stuff as well. So there's a lot of different variations with it. But this was with a physical card, a while back for sure. But one of my clients, and by the way, she described her, I knew exactly who she was talking about. She had, kind of stunning hair, I guess you could say. And it stood out when she described it. I was like, okay, I know who she saw. She saw one of my clients in the grocery store about 3 years before she called.
Wow.
And she was getting ready to move and cleaning out a drawer, and she found the card, and she remembered the person who gave her the card, and she called me to make an appointment.
That's so awesome.
It is. I mean, you can't make this stuff up, but
Right.
but it's why I'm saying, like, always, you're always getting stuff out there, because you never know where that next person's going to come from.
Absolutely. And, to that point, I think patience, especially, for those of you that are just getting started, patience with these things is so key, because when I was training staff at our salons, like new hires, we would have a benchmark for them, kind of like you're saying, to, like, you need to go out and you need to start connecting with people. Like, just make connections with people, give them a business card. Maybe it's someone in a grocery store line. Just be like, hey, can I just say, like, I love your hair. I'm a new hairdresser. Like, if you ever need a hairdresser, I'd love to be your hairdresser. And they'd be like, well, that doesn't work. It never works. Well, it never works because you decide that because I handed out 10 business cards, I should have 10 new clients. And that's not the way things work. They work like how you said. You never know, a couple weeks down the line, a couple months down the line. There's I don't know if you know this, Miki, there's some rule in marketing. I want to say that I heard it a long time ago that it was the 3.5 rule, but I've heard it much higher than that too. Like, how many times it takes for someone to connect to a product before they actually make a purchase. So it's like, okay, you gave them a business card and they go, oh, okay, whatever. A few weeks later, their friends comes to their house and they're like, oh, wow, your hair looks really good. And they say, oh yeah, so-and-so did it. Oh my gosh, that's that girl that gave me the card in the store. And then 3 weeks later, someone else that goes walking past and they're like, your hair's beautiful. And your name pops up. So it might not be that first business card, but you have to have that patience to kind of like build up and build up and build up.
Yeah. Yeah, I call it planting seeds. It's like you need to plant some seeds every day, because you don't know what's going to come up, and this is, the microwave generation where we, pop something in for 3 seconds and it's ready. But most of the rest of life doesn't work that way. So it's about building, first our confidence, because walking up to someone and even saying anything. And I started out super duper duper shy, and we did not have the internet. And it was, a flyer in hand and going out and meeting people. It also, I can tell you, when I started in my first salon, I was planning to start as an assistant, which I highly recommend. And that opportunity didn't show up before the opportunity to work in the salon that I wanted, as a stylist showed up. And so when it showed up, I was like, because I was on the phone every week, is the person ready for an assistant yet? And they're like, not yet, not yet. And so he called one day, the owner, and said, it's like, we had a chair open up. Would you like to take that? And I say that I was really young and dumb because I was like, yeah, no clients, no family, friends, and all that kind of stuff in that area. But one of the things that I did, I assisted every single other person in that salon. I knew all of their clients by name, like everybody's clientele, their full clientele. And people started referring me their friends instead of referring them to the stylist that they went to. They would refer people. And so, jumping in there, being willing to do whatever you need to do, being willing to learn, because, we come out and we, think we're the superstar. But then we get in there and it's like, ooh, these people are doing some real hair, I might need to learn a little more. So, just really, going in there ready to give and ready to learn, as well as ready to build.
Sounds like we're going back to our number one, which is relationship, right? Like always building those relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it's at the end of the day, it's like we do people. It's like if we've been home for a while and Lord knows we've been working on some mannequins and they are looking good, but they don't pay very well. So it's like, if we want to get paid, it's like, we've got to, engage with people. And what we do, it's one-on-one. They say that things are high. The more high tech things become, the more important high touch becomes. And we're in that high touch category. And so we are important, and we need to develop the skills to make our clients feel comfortable, as well as develop the confidence to have our own business model in place and policies, and be able to hear the word no and actually say the word no. Sometimes it's not appropriate. Yeah,
for sure. So what's our fifth R then?
Our fifth R is, drum roll please, the one that no one wants to talk about: retail.
Okay, let's take a little poll in the chats here. On a scale of 1 to 5, everyone has to participate here. Okay. 1 being I hate retail, 5 being I love retail and I'm really good at it.
Okay.
Everyone type into the chat, where are you at with your retail game? 1 is I hate it, I'm terrible at it, which I will be the first to admit I started on that path. Okay. And then 5 is I love retail and I'm really great at it. Pop that into the chat.
Yeah, I can't wait to see.
So yeah, talk to us about retail, Miki.
Well, retail, we saw our whole life, industry, career come to a screeching halt. We have lived in a world where it's like, oh, well, I made some money yesterday. I spent most of that money yesterday, but I get to go in tomorrow and make some more, right? Until last March, when it's like, we don't get to make any more money touching people, doing our craft, cutting hair, coloring hair, sitting face to face with our clients. And for many of the people that I know that kind of survived well, it was through retailing. It was through having products. One of my friends, she's been a long time hairstylist, and all of her clients come every week or every 2 weeks for her entire career. She foresaw that we were going to be shutting down. I'm in North Carolina, and I was actually in New York when the governor closed the state down. I was there for IBS, getting ready to teach the next day. And so it was a very scary time and trying to get back home and everything. But that took place probably one of the first places in the country. And so my friend foresaw that, shutdown is probably coming our way. And she knew that her clients have never shampooed their hair, never done anything to their hair. And so she lined up a package for each person, and told them exactly how to use it, what they would need to do, so on and so forth. And she was like, I sold more in retail than I do in services. It's like, this was better than, she's like, I've got a whole new model here, because it's completely, not taking your time and your energy and your back over the bowl and all of those types of things. And the clients loved it. And, and it's like some of them, it's like they don't come in as frequently. And actually she was wanting to kind of make some transitions. But like I said, we still have clients that are at home. What are they using? It's like, are you doing consultations with them to show them how to use certain things and what to use and why to use? And you can work with, your clients, which are typically local, and you can work with the whole country, if not more than the country, but definitely the whole country. It's like your client's cousin that lives in Maine can order products from you. You've never seen her, it's like maybe you do a Zoom consultation or something like that to see what she needs. Or maybe you have it set up on your website and it's, she goes there and says, oh, I need some shampoo, I need some conditioner, I need a leave-in. And she orders that and it gets shipped out to her, however that piece works. Your salon, with our salon businesses, they told us you can't do hair. They didn't necessarily say that we couldn't be open. So you could have a carry, what do you call it? Curbside with your retail. Come in, I'll run out to the curb and give you your retail and you just get your retail and go. Yep. And there's other things we can retail besides hair care products. But like when we're talking about being in the chair, it is thinking about if you came in one day and there were no products in the salon, how would you do their hair? You have talent, you have training, you have a lot more going than most of your clients, and you send them out with nothing, and you can't even work without your favorite products. So let that soak in. Yep. Your clients need what you're using, and so just showing them. And for anybody, what numbers do we have? And I'll share.
So I'm noticing. Here's what I'm kind of noticing. There's only a few like threes. Okay. It's ones and twos or fours and fives primarily. So that's what's kind of what I expected too. It's like you find that in our industry,
right? You
have the group that's like, I'm uncomfortable with it. I don't feel good about it. And then you have the people that are like, I love this stuff. And so I do kind of find that there tends to be less kind of middle of the road people with retail. It tends to be pretty polarized.
Right. Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And for the people that have the trouble, the ones and twos, I'll share a couple things if that's okay.
Please do. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So one is I've always thought of retail as part of the service. If my client didn't have what she needed to take care of that hairstyle, then I haven't done my job when she left. And so it was just making sure of these are the things that I used. This is what this part does. This is what that part does. One tip for people, because I've helped a lot of people to be able to retail better and get more comfortable with it, is just focus on your favorite product.
Yeah.
Tell everybody, everybody that sits in your chair about your favorite product. And that's it. And watch what happens. And one of the salons I coach, they decided to do like mirror clings, like a little something on the mirror that says, do you know what my favorite product is? And have a conversation about their favorite product, because it's like a couple people are like, yeah, you love such and such. And some people are like, no, I have no idea what your favorite product is. And so then you have the opportunity to have a conversation. It's like, I never told you about my favorite product, So it's like, you can see, and even gauge where you are in having those conversations with your client just by putting something up there like that. And it could be like a contest kind of thing. It's like, if you do know my favorite product, then you can go on a drawing to win, a gift basket or something.
Love that.
Yeah.
And I like to, because the one thing that I've noticed when I was a salon owner, advertising didn't work in that way. Like putting up, hey, we have 20% off this today. Like people they saw it, but they just didn't even pay attention to it. So I think what you're sharing is put something up that creates conversation, gets us into conversation. Instead of just, hey, 20% off this product. So I really like that.
Yeah, the conversation is key. And I think a lot of times we fall short on the category of merchandising our salons as
Hmm.
well.
Yeah.
Um, Everybody's probably been to an Ulta or to a Sephora,
Hmm.
and you've obviously been to a grocery store. And it's like those three, I would say, are like masters at the merchandising thing, because when you go to check out, what do you see? It's like, especially, I think I would say it's like, you've got kind of this circle of, however the line goes, and you're
Hmm.
standing next to everything that's like, ooh, I do need one of those. And so if you do have a sale product, to make sure that it's at the front desk, that it's maybe sitting there with some flowers or a balloon or something interesting and exciting, and that it has one of those big signs, that says 20% off or what have you. And it's like, and watch how many people just pick it up and say, oh, okay, this is good, because they're
Right.
right at the checkout. Yeah.
What also helped me, Mickey, is that I had to change my perception of retail, because
Mhm.
I'm not money motivated. I'm just not
Mhm.
that way as a person. And
Right.
each person's so different, because there's probably some of you watching that said that you do have a 5 in your retail program. And for some of you, it's that like excitement of hitting that financial goal.
Mhm.
That wasn't exciting to me. In fact, it was quite stressful for me.
Right.
And so for me personally, I had to shift away from it. And actually, Henry kind of mentioned it. I had to switch to it being about taking care of their hair. I had to
Mhm.
switch to, I have invested so much into this haircut, my artistry, and this is what it takes to support that and make sure it looks beautiful all the time. So
Right.
I had to switch off the money part of it completely. And
Mhm.
as soon as I let go of, hey, I need to hit my retail goal, and
Right.
focused more on, this is an important part of my relationship with the guest and my professionalism with my
Mhm.
guest,
Right.
that's what switched for me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And one of the things, like you mentioned, relationship again, when you have a client who gets a product from you, and it's sitting on their bathroom shelf or what have you, and they reach for it to use it, who do you think they're thinking of? Yeah. Yeah. This is part of what starts to like really solidify, and I had a
Mhm.
lot of clients who would say, it's like I was gonna skip, doing my regular nightly routine. And, like I could see you sitting on my shoulder saying, get up and do it,
Yes.
versus that little image that's like, nope, you're tired tonight. You're just gonna go to bed. And so when you can be with your clients when you're not even with your clients, it's like you've
Mhm.
created some relationships that are beyond money, beyond,
Mhm.
just them being in the actual physical setting with you. It's like you've created something that's that is connected. There's a true connection there. And I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things that we really have to get back to is, everybody is a person,
Mhm.
and I think we have a tendency to kind of make people a commodity in a sense, but
Yes.
really building those connections with people. And, even during the pandemic, there were kind of people on both sides. It's like, have you
Mhm.
called and reached out to your clients really just to see how they're doing? It's a really stressful time. It's like we hear about all their family members, even though we may never have met them, their pets and everything. And
Yeah.
it's like, how are you guys making out? And just reaching out. And even I stopped doing hair in, I think, the end of August 2019. And, my clients were on my mind during that time. I text like pretty much all of them and was
Yeah.
just like, how are you doing? How's your family? And that type of thing. And, the old saying, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Sure.
And there were people who were like, well, none of my clients have reached out to me. And it's like, we forget this isn't, um, like a regular relationship in a sense, because this is a
Mhm.
business relationship, and it's like it can be warm and it can be fun and it can be friendly, but they're not your girlfriends or your folks you kick it with,
Right.
and they're not necessarily the folks that are really focused on you, and some of them will be, obviously, but it's like, it's us as business people who need to reach out to our clients and see, do the reaching out versus sitting there and saying, well, they didn't reach out to me, so I'm not reaching out to them, kind of thing.
Right. Yes. I love this. Like, and here's what's kind of funny. This is actually not the way I expected our conversation to actually go tonight, but I think it was exactly how it was supposed to go, because this was such incredibly good information. I think we kind of have to plan a part 2 of this, because
Okay.
I think we've set up such an awesome baseline, but where I want to go next is into that conversation of like, how do we start to relook at our business? Because the part that we don't necessarily have time to now jump into, but I think is really important that we do connect on, is how do we start looking at our books differently? Because you mentioned that you have people that are doing less and making more. And I
Yeah.
think this is a really big part of the conversation, but we'll have to do part 2 for that, I think.
Yeah, that'll be fun. And this is the foundation of that. But yeah, I definitely have clients who've come back and said, I'm making more than I ever have in my business, in my entire business life now. And I'm doing fewer clients, and I'm going home and enjoying my family. And I think that, I spoke with a young lady that we were doing coaching yesterday, and I was like, we've had these kind of business models that we have utilized, and we see like, oh, well, I've got to do this and this and this and this. And I think really now is the time, when we talk about reinventing, to look at how do we build a business around our life rather than our life around our business.
Yeah. Oh, this has been so incredible, Miki. We're so thankful for your gifts today. I mean, I have to say, this chat has just been blowing up the entire time. There's just like hundreds of comments in here. This is so great. So please, definitely go follow Miki at Miki Wright. Also, you do have a website. Do you want to share a little bit about what you do with Beauty Superstars?
Sure. Yeah, well, it's beautysuperstars.com, as you can see if you're watching. And I have been a coach, I guess you could say, for quite a while. I help people get more clients, make more money. And I also help people who are wanting to grow. Growth has been part of my story all along the way. And growing a lot of times means that we need to hire people, and that can be a really challenging situation. And it also means that we need to develop our leadership skills. And so those are things that I help people with as well. And the site, we've just kind of revamped it, so it's kind of one stop. So my podcast, which is Beauty Superstars Talk, and as Andrew mentioned, it's like I get to interview the best and brightest Black beauty bosses each and every week. And we have masterclasses, kind of similar to this, where we actually are sharing tons of information, inspiration, ways to become better entrepreneurs and heal our industry. Because I think we really want to bring some, just some patience, some diversity, some inclusion, and all of those great things into our industry. And that's what we aim to do each week. So all of the video interviews are on there, beautysuperstars.com. There's also the podcast. You can access that from there. You can actually just listen and watch on the site. And I have an online academy with some of the training, that I offer to help people with some of these things. So there's one that's, a couple that I did since the pandemic. One, Where's Your Money, Honey? And because so many of us did not have our money straight. And it's just super easy ways to keep up with the money coming in and the money going out. And you can sign up to join our talks, which are usually each week at, on Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Eastern. And if you are in a salon suite or thinking about a salon suite, I have a free guide that's on there as well. So, I invite you to kind of spend a little time checking it out. And, helping you to increase your business is definitely my aim.
Awesome. Well, thank you so very much. I know you're going to get a lot of people popping in and asking you questions and hitting you up on social now that you opened the floodgates.
And I'm definitely going to be back in the chat so I can see, and answer any questions or anything. But you can definitely DM me at Miki Wright on Instagram. And if you put my name in, you'll find me, but it's under Salon Biz Coach on Facebook. And I have a Beauty Superstars group as well. So
cool.
Yeah.
We'll also be reaching out to you very soon to set up part two, because I
Okay.
saw a bunch of people comment, yes, please, part two. So
Okay,
we're
cool.
definitely going to need to plan that. And, from all of us here at Sam Via, Miki, thank you so very much for sharing your expertise and your passion with our community. It's so valuable.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the invitation. And it's like I've been a big Sam Via fan for a long time, and I'm a very new Andrew Carruthers fan. And so thank you. This has been wonderful. And
Absolutely.
yeah, look forward to a part two.
Awesome. Thank
Mm,
you, Miki. We appreciate you.
thank you. Everyone have a great evening. See you later.